What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to White Sox Daily. Aaron Feely back again here, and today some unfortunate news, some news that I have been very vocal on this channel very often as I possibly can squeeze it into these things because it feels like it has been the pressing topic of news every single day, every single week of this entire offseason, basically of every single moment of being a White Sox fan since about mid 2023. The Luis Robert situation. Would he be traded? What are they going to try to trade him for? Is it time to total rebuild, tear everything down? All that stuff. And they finally done it. They traded Luis Robert. And unfortunately, I think they've done it at a point where his trade value was at an all-time low. This feels like exactly what I did not want them to do, which was to trade him just to do it. Just to say they tried. Oh, look at that. Well, we were in the rebuild, so we had to trade him because that's just the unwritten rules of baseball. When you're rebuilding, you must trade your superstar players. It's just what you have to do. And so they got basically nothing in return. Absolute jack squat. I hate this return. I hate this trade. It's awful. It's just awful. They bring in Ronald Acuna's little brother, which is basically all he is. I mean, from the Mets, they get Luis Angel Acuna, who has done absolutely nothing in the big leagues. He's a little bit versatile, so hey, that's nice. He can play shortstop, which we have. He can play second base, which we have. He can play a little third base, which we have. And you know what? He can play a little center field, which we just had in Luis Robert Jr. So real solid, real great stuff there. They also got a right-handed pitcher out of Harvard who has 4 minor league career innings pitched. Spectacular work. Sorry, not innings. 4 minor league games pitched. Even still, just a heaping pile of nothing. I do not care for the trade. I do not like the return on the trade. Yeah, it's just utterly abysmal in every conceivable fashion. For the Mets, hey, great work coming off a disappointing season. They already spend all the money you can possibly spend in the world. Why not? They go out, they get Bo Bichette, they make a trade for Luis Robert. The cap system is totally broken in professional baseball. I hate it. I hate it. Too many baseball loyalists, baseball purists, whatever, always want to argue this point, always want to talk about, there's some people that turn it into pro player. I don't care. It's not to the fans' benefit to have a capless league. You need a floor and a cap. The same way the NHL does, the same way the NFL does, the same way these much better run leagues already do it. You have a salary cap so that there's no great advantage to any given team based on their owner's checkbook. And then you have a salary floor to force the teams at the bottom to rise up so that every single team is spending approximately within $50 million of each other. And as long as you just literally force them to do it, you'll have parity by sheer happenstance eventually. Yes, then at that point, it just becomes about who's better at scouting, who's better at drafting, all that good stuff. Who's better at maintaining their books so that they stay inside that tiny window? This idea that you should have an advantage because your owner is just slightly less cheap, or that you have, an oil tycoon as an owner rather than, whatever the Tampa Bay Rays or the Pittsburgh Pirates have going on, should give the fan base in that city some sort of advantage to a better baseball team. It's ridiculous. It's utterly stupid. Get with what every other sport is doing because every other sport does it better than you, professional baseball. Every other sport. The NBA does it better than you. The NHL does it better than you. The NFL has the best model of the entire group. Just do what they do. It's so easy. Just point at someone else having success and go, I'm going to copy that. It's the simplest idea in the history of mankind. The copycat world has been around since human beings first started noticing other human beings. Just do it. And for the Chicago White Sox, once again, you have a half-decent player, Luis Robert. Yeah, he's back-to-back disappointing years. I get that. Part of the reason that factors in so highly here is that now that you've traded him off those back-to-back disappointing years, while he's still fairly young and still has a lot of potential, by the way, you get nothing. You get absolutely jack squat in return. No, I do not care about Ronald Acuna Jr.'s little brother. He's 23 years old. He's done jack squat. He is a hope and a prayer at this point. He is not any sort of top-ranked prospect. He is not some sort of young up-and-coming player. He is just there. He's Chase Mydroth with a better name, okay? A guy that hasn't really displayed much in the way of power, a guy who hasn't really displayed all that much in the way of major league attributes, a guy who's having a really nice time last season in the Venezuelan Professional Baseball League, so we can only hope and pray that that somehow carries over 1-1, and even if it does carry over 1-1, he's hitting 248 in the Venezuelan League. Great, we can bring him over. He can hit exactly that in every capacity and hit 3 home runs like he did last year. Now, granted, it's in a smaller sample size. They only play 70 games, so whatever. Multiply all that by 2. He'll hit 6 home runs if you assume he's going to carry over again 1-1 production from what he was doing in the Venezuelan League. Oh, I hate this so much. I hate it. Luis Robert was not necessarily playing up to his potential. I get that. The big loss here isn't even necessarily, that you're losing superstar 2022 Luis Robert in this deal. It really is almost entirely just maddening that they choose to do it now when you have no outfielders, and you get nothing in return. Paulie, the pitcher out of Harvard University, 12th round pick, he's thrown 70.5 innings, 91 strikeouts, 48 walks. I guess that's not totally terrible, but those were his college numbers. He has had 3 starts for their low A affiliate, 1 run, and no hits allowed in 4 1/3 inning. Sure, fine, whatever. He's pitched in 3 games. I do not care. I do not care even slightly. This is it's such a nothing return for Luis Robert. You should have just gone into the season with him. There was absolutely no reason to rush to make this deal. The Mets weren't exactly offering you some deal you could not refuse, so refuse it. Go into the season with Luis Robert, hope for a bounce back year. If you still want to trade him at the halfway point amid a bounce back year. Or just ride it out with him if you're playing above expectations. I don't care. Don't just trade him now when he had no trade value and you get the no value that he had in return. It's terrible. It's awful. Terribly run organization, the Chicago White Sox. I just despise the move in every single capacity, which brings us right to our next point of what their plan is now in the outfield, now that they've got 2 glaring holes to fill. You have to assume it's going to be Brooks Baldwin, I guess, in center field, and Pereira, is going to be in right field, and we're just going to live with that. I don't know who's going to rotate in. God forbid either of those 2 ever needs a day off. I don't know. There's going to be a lottery before the games, I guess. If you're in the winning seat, you get to play center field that day. I don't know. They'll probably stick the campfire milkshake in right field if Pereira needs a day off. I haven't the faintest idea. Great plan, Chicago. You get nothing in return. Like I keep saying, you lose Luis Robert. And then, who knows? Braden Montgomery probably not ready to play just yet. So you're going to go at least half the season just band-aiding the entire outfield. Congratulations, Andrew Benintendi is now the best player in your outfield. Spectacular work. Really solid stuff there, Chicago. Love to see it. Some positive news from over this past week. The Chicago White Sox have another prospect that is now starting to get a little bit of national recognition. Sam Antonaki ended up ranking in the top 10 second baseman in MLB's yearly release of their MLB pipeline top 100 prospects and top 10 prospects by position. Ended up coming in as one of the top 10 second basemen in minor league baseball. He's a guy that began last year in high A Winston-Salem, slash 279, 425, 412, had an 837 OPS in just 64 games. He's a guy that walked 39 times to just 37 strikeouts. He's not a guy that displays a great deal of power, but he gets on base, he takes his walks, he's got really good contact, and he's a really good base stealer as well. A lot of things that, make you a fairly solid second baseman offensively. A lot of the traits that you look for from a guy at that position, and of course, spectacular defensive player. And he was dominant in the fall league down in Arizona, hitting 378, OPS over 1,000. He hit 3 home runs, all this in just 74 at-bats. Ended up walking 15 times as well. He, Braden Montgomery, and Hagen Smith all made the Fall League All-Stars team. And so, was rising up boards, ends up in the top 10 for MLB Pipeline. Thought we'd give him a little shout-out here, considering the honor he received. And then finally, wrap things up with Mark Buehrle, just received 11.8% of the writers' votes for the most recent Hall of Fame voting process. And so the discussion kind of came up amongst White Sox writers across, multiple platforms. Is Mark Buehrle a Hall of Famer? Do we think he's going to be getting in here soon? I personally believe so. Maybe I'm a little biased. I'm a Chicago White Sox fan. I remember the 2005 World Series when he came in after pitching in Game 2, came in Game 3 on 1 day's rest, ended up pitching in the 14th inning of that game, helping the White Sox get the win, take the 3-0 series lead, which of course they would then complete the sweep in Game 4. I remember watching the perfect game against the Tampa Bay Rays with, of course, the catch up against the wall as well in the midst of that game. Just a spectacular collage of memories of Mark Buehrle, a guy that comes from St. Charles, Missouri. I actually lived for a decent chunk of time throughout my college and a little bit of post-college life in St. Peters, Missouri. St. Peters and St. Charles, neighboring towns there. They share a county. They share a border. They share a couple of stores as well that go right on the border and create some really weird address issues when you try to punch some of those things into Google Maps. But I'm more than familiar with the area he's around. He also attended Jefferson College down in Jefferson County, Missouri, Hillsborough, Missouri to be specific, another place I personally lived. I took a couple of classes at Jefferson College when I was in high school. So, a couple of personal connections there with Mark. Now, we never lived in or attended any of these places anywhere near the same time, but still, kind of fun. An all-star in 2002, 2005, 2006, and 2009, ended up making a 5th all-star game with the Toronto Blue Jays. That ended up being, I believe, in 2014. Ended up calling it quits a year later. Career ERA of 3.81. Ended up with a 59 wins above replacement. Guy that compiled 216 wins in his career. One of the best left-handed pitchers in White Sox history, in Major League Baseball history. And certainly I believe that one day he will likely get his enshrinement into the Hall of Fame. But let us know what you guys think in the comments section below. And for today, this has been White Sox Daily.